Hello and welcome to Cox Connections. I'm your host, Gary McCullum, Senior Vice President and General Manager for Cox, Virginia. Since the founding of the Chesapeake Bay Foundation 40 years ago, this organization has been dedicated to improving the Bay's water quality by reducing pollution. Their motto, Save the Bay, has been their battle cry to achieve that goal. Working to save this national treasure is Christy Everett, Hampton Roads Director of the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, and with her is Winston Bybee, who is not only a Cox employee, but a volunteer committed to restoring the Bay's health. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Gary. Thanks.
Let me start with you, Winston. I mean, I know you do a great job here at Cox.
Thanks.
But, you know, for the past 2 years, the Chesapeake Bay Foundation has been a recipient of the Cox Charities Employee Grant program because of your efforts. What is it about this organization that, that has made you so dedicated to their mission?
Well, I've always really enjoyed spending time on the water. I love kayaking, sailing, all sorts of stuff. Really enjoy eating seafood as well.
So do I.
So it's just it's really important resource to me personally. I've always been kind of passionate about the environment. So once I moved to this area, really wanted to get involved with an organization that was dedicated.
So you didn't grow up here. You got involved after you joined. So what are some of the things that you do for the foundation in terms of volunteering?
Well, I go to events and, if they have a booth where people are, just getting information, I introduce them to the organization, try to get them involved. Also go help with their oyster restoration efforts, which will collect oysters that people have been raising and then put them out on certain oyster reefs throughout the area.
And so when the opportunity presented itself to submit this organization as a Cox Charities grant, I mean, how did that come about? It
was great. I just love that Cox gives us the opportunities to submit organizations that we are personally passionate about. So I definitely took the opportunity and got as many people as I could to vote for it, and it worked out.
All right. Well, Christy, I mean, there are several things that the foundation does, and you can see from Winston's passion that it's doing great things. But education, I guess, is a hallmark. What are some of the programs that the foundation currently has to educate the community around this effort?
Sure. We take children out on our local waterways to really get them wet and muddy and in touch with these valuable resources that we have. Many of the students on our trip have actually never been on our waterways. They drive over them and drive past them, but don't really realize that there are living creatures in it and that there are waterways that do need help. So we inspire them to get involved. We take about 2,500 students out, including their teachers, each year on our waterways, whether it's our workboat program or our canoe program or residential centers, and we introduce them to the value of our waterways and what they can do to get involved.
And I think we're showing some of those on the screen now. What are the ages of the students, and why is it important to, I guess, start young in terms of educating our young folks around this issue?
Typically, we start with the 4th grade. All of our programs are standards of learning correlated, so they do work back with their standards of learning, and then we actually have professional development for teachers. So the teachers are trained to help reinforce those lessons back in the classroom, but it really is a meaningful watershed experience for them. So I think they take it in. It's much different than just learning in the classroom without the context of how important it is.
Now, one of the projects you implemented was regarding oyster restoration, and why are oysters so important to the health of the bay?
Oysters are a keystone species, particularly for this region. Not only are they of value, for example, we talked about the seafood component, but they're also an indicator of clean water. And oysters are great habitat for other critters in the bay as well. So an oyster reef can actually host up to 300 bay species. They call them the apartment complexes underwater. So oysters are food, they filter out algae in the water, and they're great habitat. Of course, they're valued to humans. So we put millions of oysters in our local waterways with the help of volunteers each year. And
so Winston talked a little bit about some of the volunteer efforts with the foundation and how the community can get involved in this, but can you talk a little bit about some of the community advocacy and outreach efforts that are underway to get more people involved in this effort?
Yeah, so we have a lot of people, as we mentioned, growing oysters to put back in our waterways that have been depleted, but we also have people helping us speak out on water quality, join our speakers bureau or share the message, or maybe contact their elected official and tell them how important clean water is, not only to our region and their livelihood, but just really to them personally. So we have a number of training programs, including our volunteers as Chesapeake stewards. Winston participated in that last year. A number of other programs that just allows them to learn more, get involved, and really make a difference, because many of the citizens in the region don't know what they can do to help speak out for our waterways, and here they're learning how.
And so if I want to know more about this, where do I contact? Can I contact?
Our local Hampton Roads office is in Norfolk. Go to cbf.org, our website, or call our local office.
Okay. And so someone listening to this who knows nothing about this and wants to get involved in some way, what are some of the ways that they can get involved? I know we only have just a minute, so left, couple of seconds left, but how could they get involved?
There's a number of programs, whether it's their students participating in educational programs or actually our training programs. We have a number of volunteer opportunities throughout the year, but just call our office, go on our website, and let them know that they want to get involved.
All right, well, great. Winston, Christy, thank you for all the great work that you're doing. Last year, 18 million U.S. households had trouble feeding their family members. Find out how the Food Bank of Southeastern Virginia is leading the effort to eliminate hunger in our region. Stay tuned for more Cox Connections.